Okay, good morning, everyone. I wanted to say thanks for joining us for today's LACourtConnect training for attorney and legal staff. My name is David Slayton, and I'm the Executive Officer and Clerk of the Superior Court of Los Angeles County. We're going to be talking a little bit today about the court's new remote hearings platform for criminal and appellate. It will also be rolling out to other litigation types shortly, but we're going to focus today primarily on criminal and appellate. There will be time for questions at the end. You all may notice that you are not on camera and not able to speak, but if you have questions, please submit them in the chat box that's at the top of your screen, and I will work to get through those before the end of the webinar. We will be recording this webinar and we'll post it so that it will be available to you so if your colleagues or others that you know are not able to join, they will be able to watch it again later. So let's hop right into the webinar. So just a couple of things. You may all know that the court has been working to transition to an updated remote hearings platform across the court. We started last year with probate, and family and civil have made the transition. Now we're working on criminal and appellate, and as I mentioned earlier, juvenile will soon be doing so as well. So here's just a high-level update about what we're calling LACourtConnect 3.0 has. The first is that there is no need to pre-register. I know that hasn't been really an issue so much in criminal and appellate because of WebEx, but there will be no need for pre-registration. In fact, even if you don't have the link, as you've experienced in criminal appellate, you can join up until the time that the hearing has concluded, and you'll see how to do that. So you won't have to have a link in advance, and you'll be able to do that as on demand. The second thing is that we are trying to use a platform that is common. You've been using WebEx and criminal and appellate, but we're going to be using Microsoft Teams for this. It's the same platform that's being used in all the other litigation types. So if you're an attorney or a staff of an attorney who is practicing in other litigation types, it will be the same platform for all of our litigation types. So the hope is that that common platform will make it easier to use. And we think it's easier for litigants who also will need to join as well. The third thing is that there will be an easy check-in process for the day's hearings. I'll go through that shortly through the webinar. But bottom line is, if there's a hearing scheduled for today, you'll be able to check in. And as I said, it's on demand. So at any point you want to join, you can do so. And you can do it even earlier in the day if you want to be prepared for hearings that come on later during the day. And then lastly, it's a single remote hearings platform, as I mentioned, across the court. The I think exciting thing is that you and the attorneys and the staff and even the litigants who want to join don't have to keep track of specific login information. They'll be able to use this one website to log in to all of the court's hearings and all of the various case types. So let's talk a little bit about timing here. We're phasing in this expansion over time, and as I mentioned, criminal and appellate are going next. Criminal is actually, because of the size of the litigation, is coming in phases itself. So as you can see, on June the 2nd, we will be going live with the criminal cases in Antelope Valley, Catalina, Compton, East LA, Inglewood, Long Beach, Pomona, and Torrance. A couple of weeks later, June 16th, we will add the courthouses that are listed here in criminal to that, to the new LACC 3.0. And then we will conclude criminal on June 30th with Airport Central Arraignment, the Fulton Criminal Justice Center, and Metro. So between June 2nd and June 30th, all criminal departments will transition from the WebEx to the LACC 3.0 that I'm going to be talking about today. And then also in the middle of the month, June 16th, Appellate will also transition from WebEx to LACC 3.0. So that's the process. As I mentioned, we will be also taking juvenile and mental health from WebEx to LACC, but those dates will be announced later. So let's talk about what one of the main differences between WebEx and LACC is, and that is the registration process. So LACC 3.0 does not require pre-registration, and it does not require you to maintain hearing login information. So you may be used to getting specific WebEx login information from the courtroom. That's no longer necessary. And as I mentioned, it's same-day check-in. I'm going to share with you a quick link at the end of the presentation here to get straight to the same-day check-in page. So that will be one that you'll want to bookmark. But I'm also going to show you how to get there from the home page of the court's website so that if you don't have that quick login, it will be easy to get to. During the phased rollouts, the process for entry will be different for the litigations are on WebEx. So as if you're practicing in one of those courtrooms in a courthouse that hasn't gone live, you'll still use WebEx as you have been previously. But if you're in one of those, once those dates roll, those WebEx links will no longer work, and you will need to use the LACC 3.0 process. Hopefully, during this transition, you'll be able to keep that straight. But by the end of the month, as you can see, all criminal will be on LACC 3.0, as will Appellate. Everything I'm going to show you today applies only to those litigations and those departments and courthouses that are on LACC 3.0. Everything else and the other departments are going to remain as they have been until they transition to the new LACC 3.0. So let's jump right into it. This is the same day check-in page, which I'm going to give you a direct link to again at the end of the webinar. And there are 3 ways to check in. You see on the left panel here, there you can check in by using a case number. You can check in using a calendar number or calendar search, and you can check in using a name search. I'm going to start with the with the case number search. And it's important to note with all 3 ways of checking in, the only hearings that are scheduled that day will appear. And during the pilot phase, the phased implementation phase, only cases and litigations that are live on LACourtConnect 3.0. So bottom line is you can start checking in, getting ready to go on hearings that are scheduled that day in departments where they are live on the new system. So let's jump in. I'm going to show you a short video here that talks about the same-day check-in process. So in the same-day check-in process, you're going to, it's going to default to the case number. So on the case number search page, you're going to enter the case number, and then you're going to click search. Verify that the case is the one that you want to appear in, and then click select. The system is then going to query the case management system. It's going to pull the names that are associated with the case, including the attorneys and the parties. First thing to do is to enter the email address of the attorney who will be appearing, or the address of the attorney we'll use to come back to it. If you're not there, you can select the attorney there, and you can select the party on whose behalf you're appearing, and then you can click check in. So you'll see it's a fairly simple process for doing that. Once you check in, you'll see it pulls up the join button over on the right-hand side of the screen. That will allow you to go right into the courtroom. Let's go back and do a different one where you don't show up in the list. So we're going to enter in a case number again. Do a case number search. This is the hearing I want to appear in today. Once I do that, I click search. And then it pulls up the hearing I want to appear in. You can see it here. I'm going to click select again. Then it pulls up a list of attorneys and parties that are associated with the case. I enter my email address, and that'll be important for coming back to in a minute. You see that I look here and I see that my name is not listed here. So I can click other. When I do that, it's going to ask me to enter my name and my role. So I'm going to enter in my name here. And I'm going to enter in my role as an attorney. Then I'm going to select which party on whose behalf I'm appearing. And then I click check in. So that's what you do if you're not listed in the case. That would mean you weren't currently associated with the case. You can see when I do that, it actually has both cases now for which I have checked in. The one that I did pull up in the system and the one that I checked other. So both hearings are now listed there for check-in. All right, let's move on to how to check in for a calendar search. You can do the same. It's basically the same process for doing that, except this way you're checking in not based upon the case number, but based upon a calendar. So let's look at that. So I will click calendar search. Then I'm going to select the courthouse in which I'm appearing. I select the department in which I'm going to appear, and then I click search. That's going to pull up all the cases that are on that calendar for today in Department 3 in Stanley Mosque. I'm going to select the case that I want to appear on behalf of. I enter my email address again. And then I select the party on either if I'm the party or if I'm an attorney. So in this situation, I'm selecting the plaintiff in the case. That's who I am, the plaintiff appearing in this case, and I click check in. Once I do that, again, it pulls up to the place where I can just enter into the hearing, into the courtroom by clicking join. You see the phone icon over there, which allows people, it provides a phone number and login information for people to join by phone. But of course, our recommendation is to join using the Teams link that's there on that page. The third way to get in, so that's a calendar search entry. The third way to get in is to do a name search. And it's important to note that you can search by either the attorney's name that's associated with the case or the party's name. If it's an organization, you can also search by an organization. So there are multiple ways to search that we'll look at that. And it's important to know in all of these, the system is now querying the case management system. So if the attorney is associated with one of these cases, they're going to pull up in the system. So let's look at what that looks like with regard to searching for an attorney. So you can see in this instance, I'm going to navigate again to the name search function. I'm going to type in the name that I am, my name as the attorney in this instance. Then I'm going to click search. I'm going to then scroll down to find the case or cases that I want to check in for. You can do multiple check-ins, and we'll show that in a minute, but I'm going to click select. Then I'm going to type in my email address here so that I can come back to that. Again, that will be important. And then I'm going to select my name. In this instance, I'm again the plaintiff in this case. And then I'm going to click check in. And again, you'll see it takes me right to the place where I can enter into the hearing. If I wanted to check in for another hearing, I could click check in, but here I'm just going to join the hearing. In this instance, I click join, and then you're going to see a couple of pop-ups. It's going to try to say, if I have the app, Microsoft Teams app, it's going to let me join from there, but I can also, if I don't have the app, just continue on this browser. When I do that, it may ask me to allow my camera and my microphone to be used. So in that case, you'll just click allow and then allow if it asks you that. When you get here, it's going to ask you what your name is. This is the name that JA is going to see, so please make sure it's the name of what you want to show up in the courtroom, and then you're going to click Join Now. Once you click Join Now, the judicial assistant will see you appear and will let you in at the appropriate time once hearings are started. So that's the fairly simple process of getting in once you are ready to come into the courtroom. So it's important, again, to note that you can check in for multiple hearings if you're the attorney of record. So if you're a criminal defense attorney, a public defender, or alternate public defender, or you're a district attorney or city attorney, you may have multiple hearings scheduled that day in which you're the attorney of record. When you begin to check in, it's going to actually find all of those hearings, and we'll see that in a second. But you'll see that you can then go in and check in for all of them at once without having to go through individually. So that's a feature that we hope will be helpful if you have multiple hearings in that. So let's take a look at that. In this example, I'm going to, again, search for a specific case number. I could do it by calendar search or name, but for this purpose, just search for a case number. Click next. I'm going to then select this case, which is obviously the one I looked for. Once I do that, I'm going to, again, enter my email address. And I'm then going to select that I am Gabriel Duarte, the attorney, and I'm appearing on behalf of Leonard Jaffe. Once I click check in, it's going to notice that I have other cases on the court's docket that day. So it allows me then to just by simply checking the box over on the left, I can then check in. I can then select which party I'm appearing on behalf of right here from this screen. And then once I check this and click continue, I'm now checked in on that. So if you had 47 hearings scheduled that day, they would all be there. And you can see all of the join buttons and are all right there on the right side of the screen. So that's going to be hopefully a helpful feature for you if you have multiple hearings scheduled that day. So let's talk about why that email address was so important. I kept saying we'd come back to that. One of the things that we know may happen is that you may want to go in first thing in the morning and check in for all of your hearings, or legal staff for an attorney may want to go do that. And so what this does is allows you to go to this same day check-in page. You'll see over on the left-hand side of the screen the My Checked In Hearings link. If you click that and you then enter the email address, it's going to pull up all of the hearings for which you've checked in that day. So let's say at 8 o'clock in the morning, I get to the office. I want to check in for all my hearings for the day, but then my hearing's not till 3 o'clock this afternoon. I don't have to keep this screen up. I can just come back to this place, click My Checked In Hearings, type in my email address, and it's going to allow me to see everything that I've checked in for. And all the links are in one spot here. You can see the join buttons are all there handy for you at any point that you need to. So that's hopefully a quick feature. So you can do that. You or legal staff, attorneys or legal staff can do that quickly at the beginning of the day, and then hopefully it makes it easier throughout the day. You'll see that they can just then find the hearing they want to appear for and click join, and they will be into that hearing. So let's look how that would work. Get this going. So you'll click My Checked In Hearings. You enter the email address that you've used to check in. That can be any email address, to be honest, but you might one that the attorney would know to use. Click Submit. And as you see, it pulls up the list of hearings that have been checked in. Obviously, if you've not checked in yet, they won't show up there. So it's important to check in for the ones you want to appear on the list at the beginning of the day or at some point during the day. And those will then be available to you. Should note that check-in begins after midnight. So anytime after midnight, basically the day of, you can check in. I think that's showing that again. One other thing to note, you may have seen this little orange identifier with the exclamation point in it. So if a hearing is moved from one department to another, the system notifies you with this little orange identifier. And you see if you hover over it, it will tell you that your hearing was moved in this instance from Stanley Moss Department 1 to Stanley Moss Department 3. So it's a quick way to see that your hearing has been moved from one courtroom to another. I should note for those of you that are interested in appearing in appellate proceedings, that consistent with current practice in the appellate division with remote hearings, even on the WebEx app, there's not a phone in option available for that. So it's only video option through Teams. So that is something that if you're appearing in the appellate division, just note that you'll have to join using the Teams meeting, and there's a requirement that you be available not through audio. So obviously, if you don't know the direct link, which I'm going to give you at the end, you can go to our website, LACourt.org. You click on LACC that you just saw. You find the litigation type that you're wanting to join. There may be some questions that you have to answer. And then as you see, you're in that same day check-in page. So we're going to go through the whole process again, this time doing a case number search. Pull up the case number. There's the case number I want to appear in. You see there's a hearing today. If you pulled it up and there wasn't a hearing scheduled today, it wouldn't show up. You click select. You enter your email address that you want to come back to later. Then you find which person you are, either the attorney or a party in the case. Then once you do that, you click check-in, and then you're there. You can click join from there. So no need to remember or to type in any specific things. You just click the join button. Once you do that, it's going to allow you to either open the app, Teams app, or continue in the browser. It's going to then ask you if you will allow use of your microphone and cameras, which you will need to do, or you won't be able to be heard or seen. You then type in your name, so it's the one the JA and the judge are going to see, and then you click join now. So pretty simple and straightforward, we hope, for all of you in using that. So a couple of things before I answer questions. We do have, these were sent out in the notice to attorney, but we have a reference guide which will take you through all of this. There's a video tutorial that if I went too fast or you have want to come back to it, there's a video tutorial. As I mentioned, this webinar is being recorded, so it'll be available to you. And then we have a technical specifications document, which sort of lays out what you might need to be able to participate in these hearings. Probably all of you have those. Here's that direct link I kept referring to that I would highly encourage that you and anyone using remote hearings use to get to the same day check-in. And it's this https://lacc.lacourt.org. So lacc.lacourt.org. That will get you straight to the check-in page. You don't have to go through the rest of the website to get there. And you can do the case number search, the calendar search, or the name search. So that is our recommendation that you do that. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, look at the chat, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you all may have. So I don't think, okay, what happens if someone erroneously adds themselves to the hearing? Would the proper party be blocked from joining? Great question. The answer is no. So what would happen in that instance would be that the judicial assistant and the judge would see that there are, for instance, 2 people joining for the same party or whatever. But they would, the judge would have to then verify, are you really Joe Smith or are you Jane Smith? So that will be up to the judges, but it won't block someone from being able to get in. Next question, can a person attend just as an observer without actually appearing for a party? A court policy right now, court rules do not allow individuals to just observe if they're not associated with the case. And so if you're not an attorney, a party, a witness, something else, court rules do not allow just, in a sense, viewing the stream. So you have to be a party to do that. And if a non-party and just an observer were to join, the judicial assistant and the judge would likely remove that person from the hearing. If you have next question, if you have several appearances on the same day, can the JA see that I'm on in a different case? The JA is going to be able to see people who've checked in for their court proceedings. It will be similar to the way it works now. They won't see that you're in another courtroom in another case. But they will know that you've checked in. So our recommendation is to communicate as you currently do with regard to if you're double booked or triple booked, make sure they know where you're at, and you may want to be on second call or third call, something like that. Next question, will there be an app that we can download to our phones at some point? Should note that the website is meant to be responsive, so the check-in page that you have will work on a phone, and then once you do the join button, it will allow you to join teams through your phone. So you should be able to use it without having a specific app on your phone. You should be able to do it through your web browser. Obviously, the quality may be limited on a phone because of just the cameras and things like that, but there is the possibility of using that to join. Next question, what if you've checked into multiple courts? Same question about will the J's be able to see that we're in a different court? Not currently, as I mentioned. Question about more than one email address. I assume this means can you put more than one email address into the checked-in my checked-in hearings? And the answer is no. That's associated with the person who is appearing. Presumably more than one person could use that to pull up the my checked-in hearings, but the thought is that if I'm appearing and I'm going to appear in 5 different cases today, that's one way for me to then pull up my 5 cases I've checked in for. So there's not an ability to enter multiple email addresses for that purpose. Next question, what if the person is one of the listed attorneys but wants to just observe rather than actually appear when a colleague is the one actually appearing? So if you are associated with the case, you are allowed to appear. You could, 2 people could appear for the same attorney, the same party. So John and Joni could both appear for Sammy, and then of course you could just observe and the other person do the presentation, whatever. So that's possible. There's no limit in how many people can join on behalf of a party. So in that instance, you could both join, and the other person would be the one that's actually appearing. Can family members of a victim attend hearings in this way? That is a great question. I think the answer to that is yes. It will depend upon, I don't think there's any prohibition against that, so I believe that is allowed. If it's allowed currently, it's allowed. I will have to check on that to verify, but that I don't believe there's any prohibition. Obviously, the judges will be the ones that will need to make sure that's okay. But I'll check on that and we'll let you all know. Next question: if I have an appellate hearing set for June 12th, will I check in on WebEx or LA Court Connect? Great question. June 16th is the date that appellate goes to LA Court Connect, so you will continue to use WebEx. And it looks like Joe from our court raised his hand. I don't know, Joe, can you speak?
I hope. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Awesome. So that was a little bit of a typo error that I saw at the beginning. We are prepared to do appellate on June 12th.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank
everybody
you for clarifying.
needing appellate for June 12th can use LACC 3.0 to check in.
Thank you, Joe, for correcting that. So disregard the June 16th on the slide earlier. It is June 12th. So if you have an appellate hearing set on June 12th, you are checking in with LA Court Connect. Thank you so much. The next question, is this video and audio or just audio? The system allows for video and audio. It's highly recommended that you use video and audio. It is possible either using the Teams application or the phone call information to do just audio, so you could turn off camera. So if someone doesn't have a camera, for instance, they could just do audio either by using the Teams application and not turning on a video, or they could use the call-in information. As I mentioned, that the audio-only call-in information is not available in Appellate. So in Appellate, the Teams application has to be used. Next question: is a victim of a crime who's not expected to speak at this particular hearing qualify as an observer who is permitted? I think that was a question that was asked earlier. And again, I'm not 100% sure of that. I don't know what the current policy is with regard to that. If it's allowed in WebEx, it would be allowed here. But I will verify that and let you all know. I think that it's technically possible. The question is whether or not the policy or rules prohibit it. Is there a chat function to communicate with a judicial assistant? Joe, can you answer that question? I believe the answer is no.
Yes, it's the same chat function that comes with Microsoft Teams. So
okay, so you can chat with the judicial assistant. Is there a way to test in advance whether your system is properly set up to use LA Court Connect before joining an actual hearing? Joe?
Well, at the end of the day, the part that uses your remote appearance is your native Microsoft Teams. So if you could join a Teams meeting with anyone, then it functionally works.
Which means if you're on this, you're probably good because you're in a Teams. You're in a Teams.
That's a good one.
Let's see. I think that's all the questions I have. Split screen for multiple parties. I'm not sure I understand the question. I will answer what I think is your question. Could you be checking into multiple hearings at the same time? There is a way to do that. You may have to do one on the Teams app and one through a browser. You could put those. There's no reason why you couldn't do it on this side. One thing you should note: we will be launching later this month the ability to observe courtrooms. So if you're a party to a case or you're an attorney representing a party to a case, you may have seen it actually on some of those videos that I was showing. There's a way to, in sort of sense, peek in the courtroom without actually coming in. So if you're wondering, for instance, where they're at on a hearing, on their calendar, or other things, you can then peek in a sense through that and observe what's going on with actually entering and exiting the courtroom. Question: how do you know when your case is being called in one courtroom if you're checked into multiple courtrooms at the same time? It's similar as it was in the physical world. If you had cases in multiple courtrooms at the same time, it's important to communicate with the judicial assistant about the fact that you're in multiple places. That way they know when you're when you may appear. So you may need to be on second call or something like that. Just make sure you communicate that. They'll know you've checked in. So presumably they'll expect that you're going to be there, but they won't know that you're specifically in another courtroom at that time. And you won't know specifically when your case is being called up. So it's just important to do what you would have done before, which is have good communication with the JA. I'm going to be in Department 47 at 8:30. Can you push my case to second call, or I'll be back. I expect I'll be back in an hour. Whatever it is, just make sure you communicate that clearly to the JA. Any other questions? I'll pause here for just a minute to make sure. One thing I should point out, especially I know this has been a question in the criminal context before, but breakout rooms are available in Teams, and so judicial officers and judicial assistants can move people into breakout rooms. So that's possible. How do you communicate best with the JA? I assume that's related to if you're going to be somewhere else. You can use the chat feature, as we just mentioned. The JA may be busy doing lots of things. My recommendation with you would be to just call the courtroom as you would have done now. So as you probably know, our JAs have lines in the courtroom that are published on our website. But I would just suggest that you call the courtroom. But the chat feature will technically be available. Can you see if the opposing party has checked in? The answer is no. You can only see the cases for which you have checked in. The only way you would be able to do that would be to enter into the courtroom, and then you could see, similar to this meeting, who all is there. You could go look at on my screen. I think yours is the same. At the top, there's a button that's called People. You could then pull it up and look and see the list of names that have checked in. So that is the way you can see who else is there. Our advice to you is that until, and I think the judges will remind you of this, and judicial assistants will remind you of this, is that until your case is called, that you remain on mute and you keep your camera off. And that way, the only ones really appearing on screen on video and, of course, audio are those who are in the current hearing. So that will make managing things a little easier. Okay, well, if you have other questions, you can certainly reach out to the help desk at the court. And if you have questions down the road, the help desk is still available to you. But the thought would be that hopefully this is fairly straightforward and simple for you. I see one more question. Does the judge appear? Yes, the judge will appear. Many of our courtrooms are being modernized, where you see basically you'll see the judge on camera. You can also see the witness stand for cases where there's a witness that's on the stand. And then you can see the actual courtroom itself. So there's cameras on the judge, there's cameras facing the witness, and there's cameras facing the audience. If that's not currently in place, there are still cameras in the courtroom, but we're in the process of modernizing all of our courtrooms. So more and more courtrooms are having those three specific views. They're high quality cameras. Otherwise, there are webcams that are available that will allow you to see that. What is the number for the court's help desk? Joe, do you have that handy by chance? I knew someone was going to ask that.
Right. I can put it in chat here in a minute. I'll pull it up.
Perfect.
LACourtConnect has its own number.
Will the feed be available all day such that you can watch a jury trial in progress? If there's a jury trial happening where, I guess technically the answer is to that question is the technical answer is if you're a party to that case and associated, the answer is you could log in and watch. So you could actually do that. As you know, most jury trials are not going to be happening with remote participants, but there are times where that occurs. So you could be doing that. Could be watching as long as the judge and judicial officer, or judge and judicial assistant start the hearings for that day. That should be available. So pretty much anything that's going on in the courtroom, you should be able to watch. And to this point, I should point out that once you check in and click that join button, you're going to be in the courtroom with whatever's happening. Most of the judicial assistants are going to allow everyone in for whatever hearing's going on rather than one at a time. So you could join at 8:30 and your case might not actually go to 11, but you would be in the courtroom, in a sense, listening in from 8:30 to 11. So it's just sort of similar to if you were just to walk into the back of a courtroom. That's the goal. And Joe has listed the help desk number. So if you need help, that's the number to call. And they will help you between 7:30 and 5:30, except for holidays. Okay, thanks so much, everybody. Have a great day, and we will see you all soon. Yes, you can check in and out and back in during the day. You can pop in and out as many times as you want. You only need to check in once for the hearings, but you can join in and out throughout the day. Thanks, everybody. Hope you have a great day, and if you have, hopefully you will find this to be an easy process for joining remote hearings in criminal appellate. Thank you so much.